Yeah, that'll be good. Excited to.
Okay, bring the March meeting, the Natural Resources Committee to order, and could we please have roll call?
Carol,
Here.
Schoonover,
Here.
McKee,
Here.
Hendricks, Nolan,
Here.
Harry,
Here.
Fleming. You have 5 for a quorum, sir.
Thank you. We need to approve an agenda, but I'd like to move item 12 up to right after zoning petition, so we can get a full discussion on that, but we still have a quorum. So with that change, I have a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. McKee, and then put over a second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor of approving the agenda as noted, say aye.
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 Okay. Minutes. Any changes or comments on the minutes from last meeting? Not, we'll say they stand as published. And public comment. Anybody wish to make public comment right now? Online or here in the room? Okay, let's go on to zoning petitions. Oh, sorry. Yeah, zoning petition, 008-0841-3000 is the first one, right? Okay,
So this was all ag forest owned by one gentleman. It's being split. The remaining will be over 35 acres between 2 owners, but they're splitting off the house and the outbuildings, which will have a 2-acre minimum. It's 2.38, including the right of way. So they're asking to rezone that from ag forest to residential.
okay, so we need to have a motion to get it on the table. Mr. McKee moved to approve and Mr. Perry second. All right, so discussion. Questions, comments on this petition? I have one. Usually we'll see a map or something in our packet. I didn't see anything. If the,
I sent it to her.
okay. But I didn't see it in our. I just want to make sure we have township review.
Yep, township approval is in there. And there should have been a copy of the survey splitting it off and then a map. It's shaded, it's kind of hard to see the proposed area on the map.
But the CSM exists.
Yes, yep,
Okay.
I've got the original CSM here to be recorded. It's all signed off and ready.
All right, well, at some point, let's make sure we get that into this month.
Cause I sent her, she had me send everything to her, so, and it was in the committee packet, but I thought, but I don't know.
Did anyone else find it or see it? Yeah, we'll get that corrected. But it sounds like you've got all the
Yes.
boxes checked on it.
Yep.
All right, so, it sounds like it's pretty straightforward, like several we've done.
Yeah. Yeah, the buildings already exist. We're just splitting them off and rezoning to the correct district because it'll be under separate ownership going forward.
Okay, all right, let's vote. All those in favor of approving this petition, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. Next one.
Next one is in Buena Vista Township. This is an existing 10-acre parcel. It is currently zoned commercial because the previous owner had a salvage yard there. So they are asking to rezone it to ag residential. They plan to have, I think, chickens and bees or small animals on there, but nothing big. Just rezoning it for their use. Township approved this one as well. There should be minutes in there. And no survey because it's an existing 10-acre parcel.
So again, at some point, we will get those added to our.
We will.
Okay.
Yeah, she said was having me send, she had Derek have me send them to them and then they were gonna put them in, so.
There was township approval.
Yes. Yep, I have township approval here in my packet. From
Okay.
commercial to agri.
So this one did not need a CSM since
Correct.
they were just changing zoning.
And existing parcels.
Yep, existing parcel, it's 10 acres.
All right. Yes, Mr. Perry.
Motion to approve.
All right, motion by Mr. Perry. Second by Mr. McKee. Any more comments, questions on this one? No. Right. All right, so all those in favor of approving this petition, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that was passed.
Right, the last zoning petition is for a CUP for a non-metallic mine. This is Eddie Gingrich's property. We had looked at this late last year. And there was a deed restriction on the property. The previous owner, Matthew, had placed on it. They did release that. We have
It was
the,
what on it?
there was a deed restriction.
Right, that Matthew had to, if nobody else could mine it, they still had the mineral rights for it unless they, so then they had to do a release for Lucas to be able to mine that plus, So that's, he had to go through a process of getting that released by Matthew.
So that release was recorded with the Register of Deeds on February 10th. So that has been taken care of. So now he's coming back to board for the approval to open that as mine.
We do have the non-metallic reclamation plan that was in the packet. It
Yeah.
wasn't?
This one's got the.
Okay,
the
that one-
documents.
Okay.
Yeah, 36 pages.
Yep. So and in there, he does have, he says when he's going to, when he's going to be doing the mining, hours of operation, there we go, I could think. So he's got in there what he's gonna, when he will or will not be operating it.
But we've confirmed the new operation recognizes reclamation requirements at the end and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Anything else you want to state before we get it on the table? No. All right, so we need a motion on this one. Mr. Schoonover moves. Mr. Perry seconds. Discussion. We don't see the non-metallic mine CUPs that often, but I hope you guys look through it. If you got any questions, now's the time. Anybody online?
Excuse me. Do I understand that the mining can take place in the future if the right procedures followed?
Right. That's part of the reclamation plan too, is like hours of operation, what their, the application includes things that, prevent water pollution and, keeping the dust down and making sure things don't escape out of it, but run off, controlling that kind of thing. And then the reclamation plan tells what they're going to, replace, make sure everything's covered up. And of course, with these high walls, it's hard to say, some of these like old sand mines, you can slope things back. These high walls, you can't, so they've got to do some way to prevent, coming from the other side, falling off the cliff, so to speak. But
If you haven't had a chance to look through the full, there's a lot of requirements.
yeah,
Yep.
I got a question. This is the same one that was earlier that neighbor had a right of way issue with it or something like that. Has that been resolved, do you know? I think it has, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah, it's in the deed, the,
easement, right away, the easement, yeah. The other part was like,
I went up there and talked to him. Sure did everything.
yeah,
I think that property actually just sold.
yeah,
Closed this last month. So
Oh,
that was
really?
actually a
And I think probably what we can do, or you can do, is send them your hours of operation
Yeah.
to them, just to say that, hey, this is when I'm. So,
Everybody's happy?
I think we got it all, it took a while. We had to make sure everything was,
Anything else from the committee?
Your point is well taken to read that, all of that, but sometimes we don't know what we're reading.
yep.
Understood.
And if not, don't be afraid to call, stop in, talk to us. We do it more often than you guys do.
Typically, they've departments tried to iron out all the issues before they bring it to us. So you don't necessarily hear all the stuff they've already done before it's on our table. Anyway, with that, let's vote. All those in favor of approving the CUP, say aye. Aye. One opposed. Okay. Start making gravel. Right, so we're moving up the item 12, which is this big transmission line that's looking like it's going to come through Richland County. We had, oh, sorry, you want to go ahead and give, or do you want me to give the intro on it? All right. This was before us last month, but we were still working on wording. The department has gone in and changed a few things, but before we discuss it, we need to get it on the table. And so I need a motion for that. Mr. Schoonover moves, he seconds. All right. Again, what's going on? I'm sure everybody's heard of the papers now. It's been online. The MISO has said they want to run a big transmission line through the Driftless area, and the exact route is not figured out yet, but it looks like it would very likely come through Richland County. Several townships, including my township of Forest, has passed resolutions simply asking for information. All we know is that the TransSource, which is a big company out east, has been awarded the section that comes through our area. That's about all we know at this point. Crawford County has passed a resolution. Vernon County is working on one. I'm not sure if they passed it yet, but we just want trying to raise awareness. So this resolution, if we do pass it, is again, it's a request for information. And so it's on the table now. Comments?
I have a few. I had asked originally how it got to us. Kath explained that to me, and that's fine. And I'm certainly not opposed to asking for the information derived. In fact, I support that. But I kind of felt like the resolution, as I read it, indicated that we were already against the line when it hasn't been discussed either at this committee level or at the board level. And I don't know if you want to do that.
Can you point to the wording where you feel that's a concern?
Well, right away from the start. It gives you that impression that we don't want this, and maybe we don't. There's probably a pretty good chance that we don't. But I just feel like the resolution is already saying we don't want it, when we haven't discussed it yet. Anyway, as one who was involved in utility management during the rolling blackout days of the 1980s, when Wisconsin was in dire need of additional transmission service, we couldn't get it. We had 3 points where transmission came into Wisconsin and everything else was generated within the state. And it wasn't enough. And there were times when entire communities would have to be blacked out for a half hour, an hour, some block of time because there wasn't enough electricity to supply them. And that's how important transmission lines are. I mean, I don't care if it's hydroelectric, if it's coal fire generated, if it's wind or solar, you still have to have a transmission line, get the juice to where you can use it. And that's why just to come out and say we're against it bothers me. But I still would like to say that I want to get all the information we can. I researched TransSource a little bit. And they have very little experience in a transmission line of this size. They have a 345 kilovolt line in different places that they've constructed, but they only have one 765 project, and that's still in the planning stages.
That's been my understanding from my research as well.
Yep, and that included 2 substations, but it's in Maryland and Virginia. And that doesn't indicate that they know necessarily what they're doing.
Jen was given, she just got it.
I actually found this on Facebook, but a status update from February 22nd on the project. It's not our portion of it, it's the western portion that Dairyland is doing. But they are holding a couple of open houses and presentations to provide more information. So, and then the end of the public hearing phase, it states would be, it looks like July, they would be looking to actually submit an application. It gives a little bit of
Jen,
info.
Give it.
It gives a little bit of info over there on their preferred route, but again, that does not come into Richland County. But then it highlights all of the pink lines are existing utility corridors. So those, I believe, are where the shorter towers are now. So they are looking at an existing route. Not a lot more.
Where did this come from?
I found this on Facebook, just public information sharing. But I did look at Vernon County, they do have things planned. And Crawford County has the board presentation as well, so.
Right. I just want to make sure that if this was not issued by MISO or somebody like that, we need to
Yeah.
take it with a little grain of salt.
Right.
But
Yeah, we have not received any official information from anyone. We're
On
just trying to
trans-
gather
yeah.
what we can find.
So our portion would be the TransSource, the stuff in Richland, and that's where we're missing information. We have no information.
right.
So we don't know when they're having meetings, nothing. So
No, and meetings sponsored by Dairyland and TransSource are going to be in favor of it.
Oh, sure. Right.
but at least if they have the meetings, you can go and ask questions.
To be clear, when these kinds of proposed projects happen, there's a very specific process for the utility commission and public information things. We're early in that. So again, our county and the other counties are saying, look, when you do get to that phase, these are the things we'd like to know. And we just want to make sure we get our word out there so that we're prepared to give the information that, so all the residents can recognize what's happening. But Mr. Tom.
Just a question. Whether we approve it or not, the project's coming through, correct? We can't, as a county, say you're not.
Oh, you're right, you're right. And that's not what this resolution is about. This is
No.
just ask questions.
But
Later on, if this county or municipality say, we're just flat out not in favor, that doesn't really count for much.
No,
The utility commission may take that into consideration,
Right.
but we do not have authority to stop it. Right.
all right.
Anything else? Any more comments? Anything from you, Kevin?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, again, this is just an information request. Maybe the tone's a little to Rod's, uncertain, on discomfort, but, we're just wanting to ask as much as we can, so that, they know the kind of information we're going. You guys ready to vote to pass this on to the board?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, so motion by Mr. Perry, second by Mr. McKee. All those in favor of moving this on to the full board, say aye. Aye.
You said,
Anyone opposed? Okay, all right. All right, let's move back on to the.
Thank you for moving that item.
All right.
So zoning department, we've still been working on entering old permits. I'm into the 90s now in the land use, so I feel like I'm making progress.
and I've got about 350 more septics to put in that are good for maintenance, that are gonna be sent out maintenance stuff this year.
Wait, say again?
I have about 350 more sanitary permits that are supposed to be inspected for Sesson. That's just one, so I've still got the 27 ones, the 28 ones, which is, they're about 1,400 a year, plus all the holding tanks we'll eventually have to put in, so it's a long process.
Okay.
We're getting there, you know.
I didn't write down the land use and sanitary numbers, but we haven't had a ton yet. We've had maybe 6 or 7 sanitary permits and probably 12 land use. We've worked with GEC now a little bit. I did actually get an email back from Josh Copsey, who is our UDC inspector now. So we had that new contract done the beginning of the year when Mike Ryder left. So we're using GEC out of Portage for all of our new home inspections. So we've sent, I think, 2 over to him now. And this is, I think, the first time we've heard a response. So at least we are starting to figure out a process and make sure we have the right person. So we know now that Josh is our inspector. So hopefully that'll go smoothly going forward. Kind of tying in the violations with that, we've been working with the attorney. The one big issue that we've had with a gentleman that has a house and a septic out there, he did admit that they do live in that structure at least part of the time. They may travel back and forth. But he has now spoken with the attorney and we've got things started to try and get him in compliance, get his permits in place, and make sure he's got a legal septic out there. The raise order that we had talked about months ago for a property right on the Wisconsin River, house that's about to fall off there, that was passed on to the township. The attorney said that is the township's responsibility to handle those raise orders. I know that they discussed it at their most recent meeting, but their minutes showed that they didn't make a motion at this time. So I'm assuming that they're working with their attorney, getting everything situated there, but they've at least started to make some movement on that. Mhm.
Our ordinance for shorelines and that kind of stuff, do we have a lot of grandfathered in issues like this that could have still caused problems in the future?
I don't know if they're, I'll call them grandfathered. We can't make them, if they were built once the ordinance went into place, then we can make them take it down or whatever. But those that are existing, they just can't, there are certain limitations they can do over the course of the time. They can make improvements, but it's gotta be 50% of the value. And it can't be like, it's not like, okay, my house is worth, when it was built was worth $30,000 and now it's worth $150,000. You don't get to go do the 150. It's,
Really?
yeah, it's,
Okay,
The value at the time when it came not compliant.
yep.
okay.
So that's where the ordinances would fall in place. So,
I didn't mean to interrupt, right? I just didn't know if there was gonna be more of this.
yeah. Yeah, the one thing I want to talk about, well, first of all, I don't know if you've ever, anybody's met, this is Mr. Steve Alt. He is now our county surveyor. He works for Team Engineering, so he's here a couple hours a month. So he works a lot with Deb and Julie on things, so welcome.
And mostly as reviewing CSMs.
Well, he does reviewing like anything that comes into, to be recorded or surveys that come in. He makes sure they gets filed correctly, and if there's anything missing, that sort of thing. And yes, a separate thing, we will be paying him to review our CSMs unless team does it, then we've got, MSA will review them for us, just to keep it, or somebody from his office will do it. The one thing, right, right now we're bringing, like this month, we're bringing the zoning ordinance and the short-term rental ordinance. I think the next two ordinances we're gonna work on are the land division, because we've got a new county surveyor, making sure we've got things correct in there, and we want to review since we got a new UDC inspector, we want to go through the UDC and ordinance, making sure that since we got new people, new eyes, let's get it correct, and then we'll go through the floodplain and shoreline zoning, and then, I mean, I think none of them have been reviewed for a long time. And I think it does good to kind of look through and see if there's something we need to update on them.
Do you feel like you're gonna need any input from court counsel or no?
Oh, yeah, I think that on all of them, we want corp counsel. And we have like on the zoning and shoreline, a short-term rental, and I think we need to do it on all of them, making sure that we're not doing something that's not kosher, or we got the wording correct. So that's, Noel, Jen and I are going next Tuesday and Wednesday up to Wausau for, it's called county training and POUTS, private on-site wastewater treatment systems. We're going up there for, I went last year. It's just county staff and then the state people there. And it was very informational, and we learned a lot. You could work with each other. How you handle this, how do you handle that? So we're gonna be up there for 2 days. I want to work with, Derek and I are going to work with Josh Elder. The financial assurances for these non-metallic mines haven't been reviewed in a long time. And want to look at what he would think would be a good rate. And then have everybody's financial assurances up to date, because if they were to, like if Lucas was, Tech were to abandon the mine and not reclaim it, we have to have the financial assurance to pay for it, and these should be reviewed every so many years.
Like an escrow account?
It's a lot of times it's a bond, or an escrow account set up. So that we can go back and claim it, and some counties have used their highway department to reclaim it, and we're not necessarily gonna have our highway department reclaim it, but he would understand the costs
So
involved.
that's why you're working with Josh.
We're gonna be working with Josh, yes. So, Noel and Julie went to the
Wisconsin Land Information Association conference this past week. So
she learned a lot more about how to, the things that she does with her job.
a lot about GIS and how to map parcels and working with different departments, with Register of Deeds, real property listers. So a lot of GIS information of what we can do with that to help the community as well. So
You feel like that'll help you better work with MSA?
for sure, yeah, they do mostly all of our GIS operations. So it would be helpful to learn more of what we can do in-house. So we don't have to contract.
I was hoping to hear.
Yeah. I mean, we have a long way to go, I think. It would be helpful to have a person on staff that is more informed on GIS and that be like their sole position.
Yep.
But we're not there yet. So if we can learn as much as we can, that'd be helpful.
It's on the wish list.
Yeah.
Yep.
And one of the big things she does is she assigns all the address points, so to know how to,
Yeah, that was a big, topic of conversation as well. So that's helpful.
Good.
and we've all been working with MSA, John Cooey from MIS, Devin and the sheriff's department, and then trying to go eventually, like, there's some, how do you want to say it? There's,
You mean the issues with the
Yeah.
addresses?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes they're out of order, or that they don't meet the address range that's, put into the MSAG is what it's called, the Master Street Address Guide. So we're working with all of those different departments to kind of rectify those issues. So, cause that's for the NG 911, making sure they're meeting the NG 911 standards. So.
Okay,
all right. Now we're on to land conservation. I think, violations, she already talked about the violations. We are, starting Wednesday, it's over at the Wisconsin Dells. It's the Wisconsin Land Plus Water, Association Conference.
by the way, I can't go. I was gonna go, but I can't make it.
Yeah. So that's Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and so everybody but Jen will be going. So we'll be driving back and forth. So that'll be a big thing. I completed with staff help, the annual State Department of Ag survey on accomplishments, what we did this past year. We were having a staff meeting today. We're gonna talk a little bit more about, I have to, by just April 15th, update our 2026 work plan, what things we're planning on doing, some things we maybe try to do. I want to take into account some of the things that we want to look at some of the things that are in that comprehensive plan. Look at working on that. And then I'll be working on the 2027 joint allocation grant application. And those are both the work plan and the grant application to do the April 15th. So when I get the grant ready, I'll be talking with Trish, getting her blessing on it. And
Now, with that, does that attestation have to come through us?
she said not, that's because it's an annual thing, it's not.
Okay.
And whatever money I put in for staff has, the match has to meet. If I don't get it, then I don't
Right.
have the position,
I'm
so.
not saying I wanted it to.
No.
come through us. I just didn't know what the rules were.
Yeah, I think, I did discuss that with her, so, the Driftless Area Water Study well testing is a one-day thing, it'll be March 24th. Those vials we mailed out, originally between the three counties, they were shooting for like 400 total, 100 in Richland, 100 in Crawford, and 200 in Vernon. We currently have 124 signed up for Richland County. And we're over the number. So what the lab is going to do is, you always have people that
No
Yeah.
shows.
no shows. And so the final count, say it's 425. The lab is going to take them all and then reduce the cost to cover just the money that we have set aside. This Crawford County Stewardship's actually holding the money. It's an EPA grant. And so they're going to pay for it, but they'd only be charged for, say it was $10,000, that's what I don't know what amount would be, but, and this is
I
both,
was comfortable doing that.
yep.
Okay.
Another part of the resiliency, Richland Resiliency Group they started a well testing program last year. And they're gonna come back this spring and go up, do it. They'll be doing the testing between March 28th and April 5th. They'll first be working with the people that have signed up previously. And then there's still, if people are interested, they'll still be taking applications. But they'd be coming to somebody's house between March 28th and April 5th, if anybody's interested. We've got the phone number, you call and sign up, or the QR code.
Gonna do that on your Facebook page, get the word out again?
Yeah, I've got to get the information from Ellen again and then make sure I put that out there. One of the things, this goes back to the well information. Southwest Regional is working with a couple others to set up called it a site map, wasn't it? Basically, they're gonna have a site, a website, wherever you can go to, and they want to get as much information on water quality, groundwater quality, well testing information, what kind of things to look for, like a one-stop shop. So if you want to know more about well information, groundwater, you can go there and go to a lot of information instead of going to DNR and going to all these different places to look. It'll be in one site or one link. Corey from my office has scheduled farmer nutrient management training on March 13th and the 20th. Right now, 20th has people, the 13th hadn't. She's working with Anastasia Kurth from Extension, Lance Baumgartner, his name?
Landon?
Landon, yeah. On doing this, it'll be held downstairs, it's up here, it's up here. It's gonna be held here in the courthouse. Corey's continuing to work with, we have the new farm producer-led group that's forming. It's called Richland County Legacy Alliance, and they're working on, helping, she and Anastasia and Welts are working on with this group, help them get stuff ready together to apply for a grant. So they're the ones that the group would have to apply for the grant. The money has to be held by, so they may be coming to us and asking the county to set up an account. And that's just for financial, I don't know what you call it, but
They're required to have a partner.
their partner,
The county, you're saying, would be that partner.
right?
Since they're already working with them, it makes sense.
Yep. So, and the last thing I've got, the tree sale is winding down. This morning, Noel came up with a list. I'll put it on our Facebook page, but there's a link on the county website. I don't know, I know they're switching over the website as of yesterday, but there's a link to the tree sale, and I'll have the updated list of what's available on that.
We have a date yet.
Pickup date or
Usually like March 31st is probably
I think it was end of April is when we're gonna pick up the trees. End of April, early May is when we're gonna pick up the trees. So the sale will go through whenever we run out of inventory. So
Bundle of maples for me. So,
Yeah, I saw your name on there.
yeah.
I think that's all I've got right now.
A lot going on.
Yeah, it's that time of year.
Yeah. And did, are there violations report? I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I mentioned, that we've been working with the attorney as well. He has been in contact back and, there's another one that, is up the road from that we had tried to work with in 24 and 25 when Katrina was here and didn't go anywhere. So he still has illegal structures out there. So that's the next one that I'm gonna.
And we have to investigate too. We may or may not have an illegal manure storage system. He put up a dam and put manure behind it. And we've got to, depending on when he put in, the ordinance went in effect January 1st last year, the updated ordinance that had no kind, like it was whatever size. Before that, it was 3,500 cubic feet. So if you put it in 24, technically he doesn't meet, he's okay that way. Does it fall under the old ordinance? So that's something we're gonna have to look at.
And are you guys working with our new attorneys?
We will, yeah, we haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay. Okay, so anything else? maybe then we're ready for UW station.
All right, so, I just sent in the educator highlight report, so you guys will have that in the folder. Just a couple of things, guys kind of hit on some of the things that, Anastasia and the Land Conservation Department are working jointly on. I think that's a really great partnership for both of them, for Corey and Anastasia. So I want to just give some credit there. Just a reminder that March 19th is Get Real. So it's coming up fast. That's just some other things that Sarah's been working on, especially, we finished up a planning ahead with Beth Dahl out of Richland County, so it was an online session. So planning ahead is a retirement end of life planning thing. It's a pretty in-depth 7-session course, so that was well attended. And then on the 4-H side, we did some club officer training. Was just finished up, and also had Discovery Day down at the middle school, and I believe there was 120 youth, where about 50% of those kids were not in 4-H. So we're hoping to steal a few more kids into 4-H through those programmings. But without me talking too long, Beth's here to talk about the livestock programming.
Sure. So I'm the livestock educator in this area, so I get to chat about animal science and beef production and small ruminant production all the time, which I do like to chat about. So over the past month, it's been January, February, March are kind of the busiest months for me in terms of rotation, because a lot of what I do works with beef producers, and their production cycle in Wisconsin tends to be a little bit slower in January, February, and March. So that's when we get to really get in there and say, hey, come look at me, like, come attend our programs and things like that. So a couple of things that have been happening in January, we have a lot of online programming that happens statewide. We have the Beef Roundup series. We featured Dr. Jessica Sperber, who is talked about growth promoting technologies all the way from like making sure your cattle have enough water to beta agonists and different things like that. Then we also had Dr. Olds come and talk, I think that was 2 weeks ago, maybe last week. And she discussed the Asian longhorn tick and the disease that it carries. Kind of discussed what it is, what it looks like, what to do if you have an infestation, that kind of thing.
What disease is that?
So it's the Asian longhorn tick that carries it's a protozoan disease, Tuleria orientalis. It starts with a Tuleria is TH, the H is silent there.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, so the tick it was first introduced into the US along the East Coast. It kind of lived along the coast and has slowly been traveling west across the country at a rate that ticks can't really travel on their own. So a lot of sort of animal movement carried through wildlife, things like that, is how that tick is getting across. It's a unique species. It's different than a lot of your other ticks. The females don't need the males to reproduce, so they're able their population grows very quickly without the needing for males to reproduce. So it's very interesting, but there are a lot of different things that we can do to help maintain healthy animals and create resilient animals to these diseases as well.
But it's in Wisconsin now?
It hasn't been detected in Wisconsin. Dr. Olds mentioned, she was like, it's probably there. We probably just haven't realized it yet. It's been found in Iowa, and it's slowly moved into the Midwest. So there will be, as this afternoon, I'm hoping to be able to submit a video to our state livestock website that is a recording of the presentation that Dr. Olds gave, where she has some awesome slides that lay out kind of the life cycle, what it looks like, management tips of different things you can do. And additionally on the website soon there will be a written type article fact sheet coming out more about that's pretty specific to Wisconsin and things that Wisconsin producers can look for and management strategies they can introduce to help kind of curb the infestation of this tick. So yeah, it's very
Good news.
I'm trying to keep it positive and light. It's not it does sound scary, but there are definitely a lot of things that we can do to be able to curb the effects of this and be able to manage our pastures and our animals to make them more resilient to things like this. So yeah, on hopefully a less creepy crawling note, every time I talk about ticks, I'm like, oh, I get a little itchy. We had the Driftless Region Beef Conference where we also talked about those ticks. That was back in the tail end of January on that really, really cold stretch. So our numbers were down a little bit. We had a lot of people last minute not be able to attend, wanting to make sure that their waters stayed thawed and nothing froze up too bad over that weekend. So we lost a few people there. However, it was still a great conference. We had attend between Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, and Minnesota. The competitive side of me went and looked through the registrations, and between the states, we had the most of the highest percentage of Wisconsin. So I felt pretty, it's not my win, but I took it as mine for that moment. And I was pretty excited to hear that. So additionally, I went up and spoke at an FFA forum that takes, it's this event hosted by Farm Bureau that invites FFA kids from around the state. And I went and talked about careers in extension, careers in animal behavior. We talked about animal behavior. We did some hands-on scenarios, so it was really cool. I was worried. I haven't worked with high schoolers in a while, so I was a little worried on how I hear horror stories of, going into high schools and maybe teenagers aren't that respectful, but every single one of those kids was engaged. They asked questions, they were happy, smiling. So that was very refreshing to see. So that's your good news for the day. The next generation seems very, very promising. That was a super fun thing I got to do. But some upcoming events that we have coming, I've been working with Shelly Schmidt at the Schmidt Dairy Farm. Hopefully this summer we will be hosting an artificial insemination workshop at their farm. It'll be a 2-day hands-on workshop that will occur hopefully June, could go as late as October. We're going to start planning a little bit more in detail at the end of March because that's when both of our schedules were able to align a little bit better. But right now we have one in Lancaster where I'll get to go. And since I'm a newer educator, this is a program that's been happening for a little bit. I'll get to go be involved in the program, and then when we bring it to Richland Center, I'll be able to be much more involved and be much more capable of bringing all that information to the producers in this area. We're also going to have the Richland County Beef Producers Annual Meeting. That is on March 11th. And so I'll be attending that on the way back I'll be in Madison during the day, but I'm excited to go. And I love the Richland County Beef Producers meetings. It's always nice to again see the promising next generation of beef producers, and also I get to see a lot of people in Richland Center that produce beef that I get to hang out with, which is always really fun. I'll also be attending and helping out with Get Real, with Sarah planning that event and needing volunteers, and I'm excited for that as well. Another thing, we'll have some small ruminant programming happening this spring. That's right now, our tentative date is May 1st, and I'm still trying to lock down which location is going to work best for a lot of our small ruminant producers. Last spring, we did a very similar program. It's called Parasite Patrol. Small ruminant producers are able to bring a fecal sample from their flock, and we look at it under a microscope. And then hopefully if we can get some sheep to be present there, we can also help attendees get FAMACHA certified. So FAMACHA is essentially you're looking at their mucous membranes to determine a state of anemia, which may indicate that they're carrying a high parasite load. So you can more selectively what's the word I'm looking for? Deworm, so that you're not creating any parasite resistance to dewormers and things like that.
So the on-farm parasite management's main focus this time too then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And then in the fall, hopefully we'll have, I'm working with Carolyn Eady, who is our small ruminant specialist, and I'm hoping we can do some sort of biosecurity workshop with a small ruminant focus, things like that. Other than that, we'll be hosting a workshop this spring, actually March 18th. That will be in Soldiers Grove. We'll be discussing just some kind of a myriad of spring reminders. We'll be talking about record keeping, fly and insect control, pasture management, and some brushy weed control topics will be happening there. That'll be in Soldiers Grove on March 18th. And then this Friday, we actually have a direct marketing workshop in Viroqua talking about direct marketing beef. So that's a partnership with Wisconsin DATCAP, Wisconsin Beef Council, and the Wisconsin Association of Meat Processors. So I'm excited for that event as well, but those are some other things that are going on. But this week we'll have another edition of our Richland Ag newsletter. So if you aren't signed up for that, I will grab your email. I can sign you up for it. Otherwise, you can always sign up on the Richland County Extension website. And that kind of just every month kind of hits your inbox with some reminders, maybe some updates, and some timely information that we have and for different events going on in Richland County. Yeah, any questions? It's a busy time, but it's been fun.
How do you remember all of that?
Well, I see, I have to write it down, otherwise I don't at all. My calendar is my best friend, and without it, I would be lost.
I need a bigger one.
Where will you do the presentation in?
We'll be doing it at the community center. It's like attached to the library there.
Okay.
It's a room that holds like up to 50 people, so we should be good there.
Which day was Richland Ag newsletter gonna come out?
Sometime this week. I haven't even started working on it yet this week. It usually doesn't take me very long to put together. I throw some links in there, re-edit it. It should be shipped out by the end of this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe just another thing for the committee to be aware of, we are moving out of Melville Hall, so the next few weeks, there could be some people there, why is office closed or interruptions. There's a good chance we're gonna be like just forgetting programming for a day or two and working on boxing up stuff, moving over there, so I think the plan is for us to be completely up by the end of the
Yeah,
month.
I
So-
saw them working on few portion of areas there, but there's no exact firm date yet, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So,
Just let you know that's coming up.
so that's the UW report then? Okay, real property lister.
She's not here. She's,
Yeah.
she was at the conference last week, so
But I mean, is there no
no report.
report?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
or I have to leave, but I just wanted to reiterate how glad I am to hear the staff attending these conferences and meetings that inform them about what's going on. It's so tough to keep track of all of that. So I hope our funds will allow that to continue into the future.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Perry. We still have quorum, so we'll keep
Yep.
going. All right. For 9.
Well, between Jen, Noel, and I, we were working with the Corp Council on the wording in the zoning ordinance. There's things we took out, Jen sent a list of questions that we had. We got a smaller list that we want to ask your opinions on, but one of the things we talked, there was in like on page 1, it talked about the road right away and the distance said like 49.5 feet. So we talked with Josh Elder and basically said, and then we changed it, it's all right of ways are presumed to be 66 feet, which is 33 feet from center, whenever practical. If not practical, a minimum width has to be at least 49.5 feet or 24.75 feet from the center line. Well, where practical means like you're along the Wisconsin River. You run out of, or a bridge or something, so that's what he said. So that's what he said that's what it said, really means. So we made that change. One of the places in there, it's on page 3, it talks about when it's very confusing, like if somebody wants to put up a new building and maybe you can explain it better than me.
The setback.
Yeah.
thing. So it says in there, that the setback is an average. When there's cases where there's already a structure within 400 feet or 200 feet in both directions, and they want to build within that setback, we can average those other existing buildings with the setback. But the wording wasn't really very clear about the near existing structure, near to what? Near to the road, near to the, you know what? So, I think we've reworded it so that it now says, closest to the road, nearest the road. So within that distance, whatever one is closest, we're averaging that with what the setback should be, and that's where they're allowed to build without a variance. Just kind of clarifying the wording, so
We've been, that's very,
Which document are you reading? Right, I just start back.
the zoning, it's the, I don't have the thing in front of me. It's the one that she has up, what is it called?
Chapter 119 zoning.
Yep,
Yeah, and these are our questions that she has up on the screen right
Okay.
there.
So I had to one edit.
I was looking at the little 3 questions.
yeah, and that's the ones we're gonna ask you about.
Okay.
Was, some of the things we got cleared up, highway setback, center line.
Next one would be farm residences.
Yeah, and that's what we wanna talk to you guys about.
What page is that?
Page, I've got too many documents here, page,
That's page 9.
page 9.
Talking about the 9B document that is just got those 3 questions.
Actually, in the zoning ordinance, page
Oh, well,
9.
Let me go back to that.
I'll just use that. We just wanted to show you what the questions were. Basically, we had said last year, we put in, they could have up to 2 farm residences.
Right.
And they looked into, in chapter 91, which regulates that, it said, she added the definition of what a farm residence is, and that's what's shown on here, which is basically up to 2 farm residents. Okay, that's what we had done. And a farm residence is a single family or duplex that is only structured on the farm or is occupied by any of the following: an owner or proprietor of the farm, a parent or child of the owner or operator, an individual who earns more than 50% of his or her gross income. So she's saying technically you can have more than 2 farm residences, but they have to meet this definition.
Really?
Right. So like,
Is that-
that's always been, but it was never clearly stated in, there was no real clear definition put in the ordinance. So you have a large farm. So your son wants to build a house on the farm, they can build it. A farm worker could have a house on the farm, so that may be a 3rd one. As long as they get more than 50% of their farm income from the farm.
But what if the farmer has 10 kids?
Technically, is a parent or a child, yes.
So I guess the question we're posing is, we have it right now up to 2 farm
Right,
residences.
that's what I thought the
Yep. So do we want to continue to?
But the issue comes in the fact that, maybe they have, how do I want to say it? I'll take my brother's farm. He has a farm, he has, and one of his sons is earning income from the farm, but they need another house for a helper. So now you can't do that. So you're limiting what they can do if they have more than,
We do something about, per set amount of acreage.
how do you, okay, that'd be harder to do. But you take Randy Schmidt down there. He's got a lot of workers. He's got a lot of acres, but he has buildings for his different. That's part of their income is living on the farm. So now we're saying you can only have 2. Well, he and his son both work the farm. Now you're okay. That's all it could be on that farm.
Are you saying that technically they're not in compliance right now?
With our ordinance, yes, but with the state, they're in compliance.
This is a new understanding. You're right, this should come to the committee.
Yeah, so, if they're following what's considered a farm residence, we can't, state statute says they can do it, chapter 91, as long as it meets these requirements. We could use those requirements where it's the producer or the owner proprietor, a parent or a child, or they're an individual who earns more than 50% of their income from the farm.
Have you reached out to other counties to see what they're doing? I would ask that you do that. Because
I mean, I can look at what they have for their ordinances, but I'm just saying, this is what chapter 91 says.
understood, but even if chapter 91 says that, I'm just curious how other counties are dealing with it.
Because then technically, well, I'm just saying right now, technically, we should not be allowing Randy Schmidt to have housing for himself, just he and his son, and then that's it.
Per our ordinance, but
Per our
as far as the state, they're okay.
Why is that different? Why are we different than what the state would allow?
We didn't have anything that really said anything about a farm residence, anything in the ordinance before. So last year they said, well, maybe up to 2 farm residences.
Yeah, in other words, we were silent on it for years.
Yeah.
Last year, I don't know how it came up, but we said, well, let's just say 2. Well, now that they've looked into it further, they realize the state doesn't put that limit on it. So we're still refining our ordinance.
Doesn't state, whatever it is, take precedent over the county?
That's what I was thinking, that really, you know, we're not violating state ordinance, but we're limiting and
Believe we can be more restrictive than the state.
right.
So, you know, we can't be less restrictive, but we can say,
But how do
Yeah,
you,
take
like I
that
said, if
into
somebody has 1,000 acres and somebody has 40 acres, the number of residents makes a difference, but if they're meeting these requirements, how do we tell 40 acre tell them both that they only can have 2 residences, and then somebody has a large farm, they're in violation of our ordinance, which that's the part I don't like.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable making a decision today. That's why I was hoping we could see what some other counties have done and give us time to chew on it. You know, that's a big
Take
change.
for example, the Schmidt farm. They're adding acreage as fast as they can, whether it's through leasing or buying small farm. So if they buy another small farm and there's a residence on there, they can't legally use that.
Well, I don't think it's building new facilities. So, I mean, I can look at, probably Iowa County would be the closest one. Look what they've got, if they have anything. So,
Is there something in the state plan that we don't want, don't like, don't? Is there something there that's clear and say, hey, this is not what we want?
well, I remember when I first started with the county, we talked about farmland preservation, and I remember them saying that this is allowed. But then, of course, I wasn't dealing with the ordinance. You know, I had no idea that we had nothing, didn't really say anything in the ordinance one way or the other. It was silence. So we can look that up. I mean, I can talk, like I said, with another county.
We have time to work on this, right?
We don't have to pass it that's why I didn't figure this one was gonna go through this month.
Say again?
I didn't figure this one would go through this month.
Right.
So we can get clarification on that. What was another one? We want clarity. Oh, the accessory use.
We're
That's on page 14.
so previously our ordinance had just said in the fee schedule, that no permit is required for a structure under 120 square feet. Where this question came up then is our residential district says that no accessory structure can be built prior to the primary structure. So prior to the house, you can't put an attached garage in a residential before there's a house there. But if we don't require a permit for something 120 square feet or less, they could put a small storage shed or something there before it. The way that she put it into our ordinance calls out right at the top of the
I don't know
residential.
if that one has it. That might be
Yeah.
the right one. That might not be
Miranda, can you scroll up to the top of the residential section? So it should be just on page 4.
I might not have the right one in there.
Okay. So I guess the question we're asking is, do we want to my opinion is if we set it out right at the beginning of the residential section, that you don't need a permit for something under 120 square feet, that's almost encouraging them to build a bunch of little things. Or, I don't know if we want it called out that plainly in that section, or if we still want to just have that in our fee schedule.
Is it undesirable to let them build a storage shed or be?
I don't think it's undesirable, but we don't. I think our fear is we have a place out in Aiken Township where they took 4 little storage, like those little storage things you can get at 4 or 5, that you can get like at,
Option center buildings or alpha buildings by alpha. Yeah, just prefab sheds or little mini cabins that are maybe 200 square feet. So I think they're over, but they just put them all together and created a house out of multiple
that's
small
what-
structures.
Right, but
Yes.
the thing is, we don't want them to use that unless we catch them as a building, a housing thing. So I think that's the concern. We don't know how we should word it. Just kind of want to get you guys' opinion.
Okay. Thoughts from the committee?
Do we leave that in there? Do we, the 120 square feet thing, so as long as it's not 120 square feet, they could put it on this for the house.
120, some magic number?
We don't know. I don't know. We were part of that decision,
I know.
so we don't know.
I mean, the intent is, I think, to limit it to a small enough space that it wouldn't be something you would want to live in.
That's what I
It's
thought.
not
Yeah.
gonna be a livable
Yeah.
building, a 10 by 12 structure. Think about living in a 10 by 12 shed.
People will surprise you.
Yeah,
I know.
and so if you're okay with leaving it the way corp council said, we can leave it. I mean, and you don't have to decide immediately today, but just so we know. I'll make sure we get the right one yeah, that's the right one she's got up there. One thing that came up and Floyd Bartow is on the chair of Univista Township. One thing that's come up really in their township a lot, because they've got a couple of subdivisions. They have subdivisions that are 1.5 acres. They were platted subdivisions prior to our ordinance. But our ordinance says for residential, you have to have at least 2 acres. And having these things that there's platted, they're approved by the state approved plats. They were done before we had the ordinance. We have to have them required to come in every time to get a variance to be able to build on something that's been platted. We were wondering, in our thought, we kind of talked, putting in there that, work with corp council, the wording that as long as they were a state approved subdivision plat before the passing of this ordinance, the new ordinance. If that would, because they were approved by the state, I mean, that was, I think the Whispering Pines was done in what?
1978.
1978. There was no zoning at that point. So our thought is, it's really not fair to them. Would it be okay if we had worked with corp council with wording, say anything that was approved by a state approved subdivision plat before, this date? Then they wouldn't have to come in and every time to to get a variance to build on it.
Right, you just want to get the wording so that you're not cause that undue burden.
Right,
We don't want any more.
right. So new plats subdivision plats would have to have they'd have to have at least 2 acres. According to for the county. The state, it's still 1.5 acres. But the county could say, no, you have to have at least 2 acres.
Oh, I know, we just ran into a problem in Rockridge Township. It involved, or the county clerk. His parents own lots in Rockbridge. And in Rockbridge Township, I think it's 10 acres that it's.
Yes, it is.
And, well, they wouldn't allow him. So the home is Rock, there's several, 8 or 10 lots in Rockbridge that are useless.
So they're not allowing variances to their,
Well, it hasn't gone that far yet. I called the chairman. I said, are you willing to walk away from new tax revenue?
yeah, right.
You know, if that's the case, and I owned a lot in Rockbridge, I quit paying taxes on it. Why am I paying for it if I can't develop? So whatever we put in here, we don't want to deter people from moving into our area.
Yeah. Especially when there's these state approved platted subdivisions that were done before we had that.
I don't think there's anything we could do, and I don't think there's anything we should do.
Yep, and I think that's what our kind of thought was, just making sure, work with Corp Council, have the wording in there. As of this date, if there's any new platted subdivisions, then that they have to meet the 2 acre minimum.
Back to the 120 square foot, before the main residence. What about after the main residence?
They're limited by the number of structures. If they want to have, they can have the house and another structure that's not attached to the house.
In
Residential.
It's a residential.
residential, okay. But what about in Ag Forest?
Egg Force, there's no limit on accessory buildings.
Yeah, so in our ordinance, if we don't have a permit for 120 square foot accessory structure, then could they have like 4 120 square foot structures on a residential lot without a CUP then? Right?
In which zoning?
Residential.
Residential, because that's
If we
where it's
can't-
limited. with-
Yeah, if we can't require a permit for the structure, how can we limit the number of structures?
That's what I was getting at.
Right.
Yeah,
So
so there's
it-
a couple
Things,
things in that.
and maybe the thing would be limited to one structure, you know, before a house is built, and it has to be less than 120 square, meet the 120 square foot. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So if they bought a parcel that's between 2 and 5 acres, and they wanted to put a little shed down there so they can have a lawnmower or whatever when they come for the, stop by to work on it. But that would be the only structure if they want, until they built a house. Then they could have those 2 structures, but then they couldn't build any more structures unless they go through the process.
But that's what I'm saying. If you don't need a permit for 120 or less, how do you limit that they could put
Right.
several?
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
The way it reads, I don't think we can.
Right.
And
Right.
that's kind of why we're.
And I
bringing
think
it
that's
to
one thing
want
we'll-
to-
I think if we can work with Corp Council on
Yeah.
limiting it to one structure.
And is that even what we want? Maybe we don't care if they put 2 or 3. I don't know. Thoughts?
I just hate to see put limits on residents. Now, I originally owned less than 2 acres when I built my home on my folks' farm, about 40 acres. So I was in the middle of that. I do have a 8x10 utility building on it. Now I have inherited the 40 acres surrounding me. So does that mean I'm not, without a permit, I can't put another 8x10?
Well, like if you were in, if you're in Rockbridge, I don't know, that's Rockbridge decision, but like in the rest of the county, we take in what you own together. So if you started out with a small acreage and you bought the adjoining and it met requirements of ag residential or ag forestry, then you fall into that category.
I'm sure.
Where did we leave that?
Well, I guess, think about it and let us know. Either, send an email or something, say, hey, this is my opinion on it. Send it to the zoning email and then we'll,
Could you reach out to other townships and see what they do on
other counties,
counties? I should say.
yeah, we've got there's a county network thing that we can ask. And another thing, we've been asked to, places that have junk sitting around, and after going through things and looking in our ordinance, a junky looking place, they have, well, there's a classic one up on Highway 80.
Yeah, Stanley, you asked me about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And in reality, in our ordinance, there's nothing that really says we have authority to do anything.
Are you talking about a specific place or?
Well, the junkyard section, like about page 22. So we're like,
So the way we had it, it's junkyards. Okay, well, does that mean an actual licensed reclamation salvage yard, junkyard? Or does that pertain to just junk sitting in someone's yard? The definition that she gave us really is a place where it's owned, maintained, operated, and used for storage, keeping processes, buying, selling. So a salvage yard, 22, I think it is.
Yeah, 22.
Yep.
Well, I can tell you, as far as this place in Henry,
I know,
Yeah.
it's been bad for a long time.
There's some
So-
classics out there, but still, junk's in the eye of the beholder, right? I mean,
Right.
there's a lot of farms out there that they just got a lot of equipment and some are tidy and some aren't. I don't know how you draw a line.
2 to 1.
Yeah, so that, we really don't have, we've been asked to send letters to people about getting, most of it's in residential areas. So we have, and then looking back at it now, we're like, well, maybe we don't have anything that. And so she found Rockbridge.
Yeah, so the Rockbridge outside storage, they have limitations of outside storage laid out in their ordinance. So they're a little bit more strict and more clear about where and when you can have things stored outside and when, if it's a running licensed vehicle or if it's salvage material. So the question is, basically, as our ordinance states, we can't do anything about those properties right now, especially in the ag forest areas. We do have a little bit more say in the residential. You can't have things outside of buildings or visible from the street. So this example from Rockbridge, the question is, do we want to change our wording and adopt something more like that? So that one's the one in there that's called Rockbridge outside storage
I'll
example.
be honest, I just read this before the meeting. I forgot to look at it.
Yeah, so that's something. If you feel should be putting it in or not.
well, in my case, there's something that needs to be done. This is a health issue.
Yes,
And that one is in
And
floodplain,
it's
some
floodplain.
too,
There's
so.
automobiles out there with antifreeze, oil, gasoline, battery acid.
you know what I'm talking about.
It's been
Yeah.
eyesore for a long time.
Yeah.
And I did think that, at one time Henrietta had an ordinance where the vehicles had to have an active life.
A lot of townships have, and that's,
But why they're not acting on it, I don't know, what they've asked me to take over and see what we can do about it.
My concern is, that's not like an obvious issue, but I don't know how you use words carefully enough to draw a line so
Yeah.
it's easy to, I don't see how you do it.
so, like I said, she found that the Rockbridge one, look at it, give us an idea what your feelings are. Cause it's, we really don't have much. We have to say about it, what we can do about it.
It generates a lot of complaints and phone calls to us,
Yeah.
and right now.
What
we
page
can't.
is Rockbridge?
It's a separate one I put in there.
It's ID.
So it sounds like we need to, again, think about this when it come back to you.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
if we don't have something on the books per day, I think we should have.
Well, I hear you, but
It's,
getting it worded
yes,
is gonna be tough.
But I think if we come up with some, say that this is what we want to do, and if we talk with Corp Counsel, they'll help us come up with the wording. I mean, that's
yeah,
Okay,
obviously it's gotta be done legal,
right,
and they're the ones with the education on it,
correct.
but,
So I think that was the main things we wanted to. Those three things especially,
okay.
So farm residences, structures under 120 square feet, and junk salvage
Okay,
are the ones that we're looking for a little more direction from you and how we actually want to handle those.
So the other questions we had, we were able to work out with Corp Counsel, and it was more about wording. So,
if any of you do have thoughts, want to send to them, don't copy the rest of us. That way we're not doing anything.
Yep. because if there's some things I can actually, if we come up with a list of things, we'll have it for the next meeting, but I can also, if we need to, I can put it in the admin file.
Yeah.
For you to look at.
Okay, so are we ready to move on to item 10 then?
Yeah. Jen's worked more on this one than I have.
Well, most of the changes in the short-term rental ordinance, when we sent it to the new, so I'll back up a little bit. My concern was we had gone through this ordinance and the county board approved it and put it out there. And then we had a phone call with an attorney who was kind of working in the new developing area of short-term rentals. And talking about if you are doing a short-term rental license, which is how we have our ordinance set up, that we will issue a license to them. That you have to be very careful about the wording, that everything is legitimate, that you have, everything in place, to be able to stand up if you do have issues. So I wanted the new attorney to review it as well. Most of the changes that she found or issues that she found were just capitalization and grammatical kind of things.
This is a new one, this is not that part. This is the new one.
So basically, I don't think we really changed anything.
They wanted to add something about the sanitary, and we put it.
Oh, yeah. So, let's see.
This is, yeah, this is,
Yeah, can you scroll?
Page.
that's,
2, 3, 4. I think it's on page 5.
we'll see it when it comes up. That,
Yeah. Yeah, but it's in.
It's about accommodating extra guests.
It's towards the beginning.
yeah,
Again, these markups are the new attorneys we have. Their take on it is different than our prior attorney.
yes.
And so you're gonna tell us where this one particular spot is?
Yeah,
Going down.
going down. Those are all definitions.
But essentially, we didn't agree with what she added.
Okay, yeah, it's not in that.
It's not in that version? Okay, I thought I got the right one.
Okay, so
was like 4
that
numbers.
number 2, where it says no recreational vehicles, RVs, campers,
Give me
yeah.
the page number so I can read it here.
5.
Okay.
So the last line in there, we did have in there, exceptions can be made if septic is appropriately sized to handle additional guests. So she added in some clarification on that. Additional precautions may include, and this is, I think, came from the state. Additional precautions may include on-site porta potties, required recreational vehicles to dump septic contents at public dump sites or similar measures. All additional septic precautions must be approved by the zoning administrator. I guess our thought is, we're looking at the licenses and the occupancy based on what the septic is there. That's how many guests they are allowed to have at that Airbnb.
Yep.
If we're inviting RVs, campers, tents to also be added to that, then we have to look at whether things can handle that. Do we want to invite that?
And our concern is, that was one of the things, the reason they came up with this is they didn't want, for these short-term rentals, okay, Randy's got a short-term rental, his septic can hold, is enough for 3 bedrooms, which is 6 people. And now suddenly he's having tent campers there, and now Richard's living next to him, and he's like, what the hell is going on here? There's all these other people there, and it's like, that's not a short-term rental, that's a campground. And that's what we don't, we have a lot of campgrounds in the county if they want to do that, and they come and visit for the day, but actually now we're inviting them to add all this stuff onto it, and it's really, short-term rental is supposed to be a house, or, it's not supposed to be all this other stuff that becomes campground stuff. And that's kind of our concern.
So I guess my opinion would be just to not allow those as additional, just leave it as no recreational vehicles or similar temporary lodgings are permitted. Because when we're looking at licensing the site, we're looking at, what can the house and the septic system handle? If we get into things coming and going, it's gonna be very difficult to keep.
And if
track.
they have a camper there, they're really gonna use the bathroom in the camper, they're gonna go in the house and use the bathroom. Now we're overloading the system.
This reminds me back when we were first talking about this. What if someone who's just a homeowner's having a big party with their relatives and they're doing the same thing? And it's not a short-term rental, it's just their residence. How do you differentiate between what they might do and what an STR might do?
In my opinion, that's a once in a while occurrence.
Okay,
That's the exception rather than the typical.
rather than every weekend or whatever.
Yeah.
Right,
Because
right.
these short-term rentals, they're renting year-round.
Yeah, overloading a septic system here and there isn't necessarily gonna create it to fail, but if you're inviting this to happen over and over again, then we're gonna have issues.
So that's why we kind of said, we don't want that. And that was basically the big thing in the whole, everything else seemed without some grammatical things, and so there is a copy of, I don't know, I thought I got it, put it in there, the actual non-red line version.
I think this was the version that we're looking to have approved too.
Thoughts from the committee?
Yeah, that's the actual one.
I was wondering now if they were gonna do one of those accessory dwelling unit type things. That would be a whole nother,
That'd
because
be,
they need to have a permit, but
Yeah.
those are tiny too, and that's gonna start happening.
right, but they're gonna have to come through us, and then we have to make sure if it's going to have a restroom, it has to meet sanitary requirements.
We actually had one, a gentleman came to us that needed a new address. He'd put up a yurt in Bloom Township to use as a short-term rental, unzoned. But he needs an address for it for NG 911 if he's renting it out, and he needs a septic system as per state code. So we can't go too much further than that with the unzoned area. But yeah, those little buildings are definitely gonna become popular
want
for
one
these
like
uses.
But then like in his own township, it would come under those circumstances. And for state code, anytime there's somebody living there, even intermittent short, we've got a guy that has a shed he built, and he's starting to put like a little kitchenette, and he stays there once in a while on the weekend, and he was bringing up a porta pot, or, he wasn't. So he was like, no, you have to, if you're living there, building has to meet, and the zone township has to meet UDC code, but it also has to have some sort of septic system. Whether it's a privy or an outhouse or a holding tank or a composting toilet or full-blown septic system, you have to have that, no matter where you're at. So, I mean, what you see here is what we passed, that the second one, that's the actual ordinance we're looking at with no. And that would be what we'd ask you to pass. It also has, we worked out, they're gonna put it as a section under a zoning ordinance, like, no, it needs to be its own separate ordinance. So we got the ordinance number 121.
There's no issue then between license versus permit
Right.
language. Okay.
So the question is, do you want to pass it or you want to wait till next month and pass it and then take it to April to county board? It's
You're talking about the one.
short-term rent.
No,
Yeah,
I mean, you're talking about the one that you've got here that was the 121.
yes.
Have you guys had a chance to look at it? Because if you haven't, then maybe we need to wait a minute.
Just table it till next time.
Okay,
Table it till next time.
yeah,
Okay.
we'll have that. And then hopefully we'll have most of the corrections done on the zoning ordinance too, and then bring that for you guys to look at and then maybe the new committee in May or whatever, yeah.
And maybe we can take your input for those questions that we asked too, to put that into the zoning ordinance.
Yeah,
And they'll have a clearer one to put in.
yeah. There's a lot to read this one.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. It was just one of those.
Our brains are full too.
All right, so on to 11.
So one of the things that was this is what you guys had looked at. If there's anything specific or at least on we'll be going to, like I said, we're gonna be talking about today, and by the 15th, a little over a month, I have to have the work plan to the state about what we're gonna be doing. The land conservation part of the department will be doing. So I just wanna, there's something really is specific in here, you'd like to make sure we include something in there that you see, that we should maybe, excuse me. It may be a pie in the sky thing, but we need to have a few pie in the sky things in our work plan to say, okay, we're gonna try to do this. One of the things was working on the producer-led group, and Corey and Anastasia worked really hard this past year, and hey, we got a group going. So things like that. If you see some things in here that you would like, if it is something we can do, let me know. Because I have to have that in by the 15th of April.
I guess for me, you can't do it all.
No,
Me, the two things I hope we can put some energy toward are more outreach to the townships. A lot of the stuff here could be done at township level, and the more people aware, it'll raise awareness. And then the other one is we have a land and water resource management plan, passed that a couple of years ago. But just being able to do a little more to do the implementation,
and that's one thing we're gonna have a little staff meeting today, and I want them to look at the plan.
Great stuff we've already identified. It's just trying to get it all covered. So
Right.
Those are the two I would love to see.
And that's one thing I said, we were having a staff meeting today, and that one thing I want to talk about is that work plan they
Yeah,
want to do, and then have them look at another set of eyes looking at the goals and objectives in the land and water plan, and seeing some things that we could do maybe to achieve some of that.
yeah. When I look at the Richland resilience recommendations that are part of the
Mhm.
comprehensive plan, that would be number 2
Mm-hmm.
and number 3 would be the ones I would say, gosh, let's see if we can get some of that tackled.
Yeah.
Anything from you guys? Anything else?
I think that's the best way to do it, little by little. Don't
Sorry?
we? That's the best way to do it, little by little. I
Yeah.
don't think we want to try to tackle the whole.
No. But I mean, that's kind of, you know,
thing Point by point.
yeah, and we've been slowly working on things. I've got a great staff, you know.
And by the way, I have noticed you guys got a lot to do and not enough people, but you're chipping away, so I appreciate it.
Like I said, I couldn't ask for a better staff and they got a lot more ideas than I do. I'm reaching the point of my age is starting to show, like, I'm not like, it's stubborn or anything. It's just like, it's nice to have people with fresh ideas coming in and looking at things and find another way to do things.
But if you guys think of anything else in the comprehensive plan that you hope they can add, shoot them a note, give them your thoughts. And, yeah, what's the deadline, the 15th?
I have to have it to the state by the 15th, so I would say by our next meeting,
Yeah,
give me the stuff that you want, because then,
well, I've told you mine.
yep. So that's,
Okay. Anything else on that item then? Okay. All right. Any correspondence? Anything going on that way?
no, we've just been trying to look away at things,
Okay.
trying to answer
No
questions.
angry letters from,
Just the one.
okay.
That's the one that's, it's at court counsel now, so. In fact, he called and she told him we need to talk to court counsel. It's out of our hands.
Right. Well, I think we're about finished. I have a motion to adjourn. Motion from. Okay.
Elaine.
I did, and then Randy's seconded?
Sure.
Okay. You still with us, Kevin?
I am
Yeah, he's still there.
here.
Okay, all right. All right, so we have a second. Motion to second. All of those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Bye, Kevin.
Bye, thank you.
All right, we're done.
But you didn't, you're on the, or the